Disrespect is not an accident. It is either a test or a tactic. When someone insults you, mocks you, or tries to humiliate you, they are revealing more than their opinion. They are revealing their intent, their insecurity, or their desire to dominate. The moment you react emotionally, you give them exactly what they wanted. Confirmation that they have power over your state of mind. The world does not respect those who cannot govern themselves. If you let your emotions steer your actions, you lose the throne you were meant to sit on. To react emotionally is to be like every other common man, predictable, impulsive, and easily manipulated. But you are not like every man. You are calculating. You understand that power does not belong to the loud. It belongs to the composed. Emotional responses are always remembered and never respected. If you raise your voice, flinch, argue back, or let anger flash through your face, you show that your ego is too fragile to handle resistance. You validate the disrespect by letting it disturb you. Restraint is not weakness, it is strength under control. When you feel the fire rise in your chest, you must smother it with discipline. Do not respond immediately. Let the moment pass. Observe, instead. Watch how your silence disturbs them more than any reaction could. Those who disrespect others often seek attention, a sense of superiority, or confirmation that their insult has landed. If you deny them that satisfaction, you reverse the power dynamic. Now they are left wondering what you're thinking, what you're planning, and why you're so unaffected. This is the moment where leverage begins, because once you remove yourself from the emotional reaction, you can begin to see the situation strategically. Disrespect in its raw form is valuable information. It tells you who cannot be trusted. It reveals jealousy, insecurity, or ambition in those around you. A man who disrespects you once without cause is a man who would betray you for personal gain. If you react emotionally, you miss the opportunity to observe and remember. But if you remain calm, if you give no reaction, you create space to think. You can analyze, why now? Why this person? What do they want me to feel? And what would hurt them more, my rage or my indifference? To the emotionally reactive, disrespect is an insult. To the emotionally detached, disrespect is a tool. Every insult carries a signature. It tells you who sees you as a threat, who resents your influence, who is trying to undermine you subtly or publicly. Instead of confronting them directly, let the data collect. Let them feel safe in their foolishness. Let them think you didn't notice. Because when you do not respond, you give them false confidence, confidence that can be exploited. They will speak more freely. They will expose more of themselves. They will reveal their alliances, their weaknesses, and their assumptions about you. This is the moment you build your advantage. While they continue to act emotionally, trying to provoke or impress others, you prepare your counter, cold, sharp, and untraceable. This doesn't mean you never act. It means you act only when the ground is yours. Emotional reactions are for those who serve. Strategic silence is for those who rule. And in that silence, you sharpen your intent. You plan your rise. You let their disrespect become the very reason they regret ever crossing you, because what they thought was a victory was merely the start of their exposure. By not reacting emotionally, you create a void. And in that void, power grows. The next time someone disrespects you, remember that your silence is not submission. It is a signal that you do not respond on their terms. You respond on your own. You turn the insult into insight. You use their words to measure their value. You remember everything, and when the time is right, you return not with noise but with consequence. Punish strategically, not immediately. When you are disrespected, insulted, or slighted, the impulse to retaliate is natural. The desire to strike back, to assert dominance, to prove that you will not be walked over, it burns hot. But hot flames die quickly. Strategic power is never wielded in heat. To punish immediately is to act like a child throwing a tantrum, not a ruler calculating the downfall of a rival. Power is preserved and expanded only through patience, not passion. Punishment must be reserved, precise, and designed to serve your interests in more ways than one. Those who disrespect you often want to provoke a fast response. They want to pull you out of your control, expose you, reduce you to their level. If they succeed, they win. Not because you were hurt, but because you showed them you could be moved. They want your reaction because it validates their effort. An immediate response gives them clarity, closure, and even satisfaction. It shows them they got to you. But when you do not punish immediately, you rob them of that pleasure. You replace it with doubt. You allow fear to ferment in their mind. Punishment is most effective when it is unexpected, when it arrives not as a reflex but as a verdict. When you delay your response, you create mystery. You make them wonder. Was their disrespect noticed? Was it serious enough to provoke a reaction? Are you plotting something? The longer you wait, the more uncertain they become. That uncertainty is power. It shifts the weight of the insult back onto them. They begin to question themselves, their timing, their safety. Delaying punishment also gives you the time to examine the full terrain. A hasty retaliation may overlook the deeper structure of alliances, influence, or consequences. If you strike immediately, you may miss the bigger enemy standing behind the one who insulted you. You may punish the pawn and expose yourself to the queen. Strategic punishment demands patience because only with time can you see the real arrangement of the board. Consider this. A man disrespects you in front of others. Your pride is wounded, and the room watches for your response. But instead of lashing out, you stay calm. You smile. You deflect the insult without emotion. You let the moment pass. You walk away, but not because you are weak, because you are watching. You take note of who laughed, who looked away, who enjoyed it, and who remained silent. Now you know more than before. You've collected intelligence. And later, when no one expects it, when the attention has shifted and the target feels safe, that's when you strike. Not with noise, but with consequence. You do not insult him back, you remove him from opportunity. You destroy his reputation subtly. You make others lose faith in him. You expose his weakness at the right moment, not for revenge, but for gain. Strategic punishment is always layered. It punishes the original offense, protects your reputation, and elevates your position simultaneously. When people learn that your punishment is not immediate, but certain and severe when it comes, they begin to fear crossing you. Not because you scream, but because you wait. You observe. And when you act, it's not out of hurt, it's out of dominance. This reputation is worth more than 1,000 impulsive outbursts. Time is your ally. With time, the insult loses urgency but not importance. With time, your punishment becomes more elegant, more impactful. You can choose your moment, perhaps when your rival is on the rise and one strike will bring them crashing down, or when they need your favor most and you deny them, or when they've grown too confident and you reveal their humiliation to the very people they tried to impress. Timing is the edge of the knife, and if you wait long enough, the blade always finds the softest place to land. Punishing strategically means understanding that revenge is not the goal, control is. Your punishment should not only hurt, it should teach. It should remind others of the cost of disrespect, and most importantly, it should serve your larger ambition. That is why it must never be rushed. You don't punish because you are angry. You punish because it is time. The power others believe you have is more important than the power you actually possess. What you are is less important than what others think you are. Perception shapes behavior, and behavior builds reality. If someone disrespects you once, the error may be theirs, but if they do it again, the failure is yours. Not because you lack strength, but because you failed to project it. The moment others believe they can insult or belittle you without consequence, you have already surrendered ground. You may still be strong in silence, but strength unperceived is weakness exploited. People operate not on truth, but on impressions. They do not see your intentions. They see your posture, your silence, your expression, your timing, your reactions. That is why your image must be managed like a kingdom. It must be guarded, maintained, and strategically shaped. If one person disrespects you and is not publicly corrected, others begin to think they can do the same. They confuse your restraint with inability. And in the court of power, perception spreads like fire. One small act of tolerated insolence becomes permission for open challenge. This is not about ego. It is about authority. To control perception, you must make a simple lesson very clear. Disrespect will never be free. Those who try it must pay, if not with their reputation, then with their influence, or access, or position. But the punishment alone is not enough. It must be visible. It must be noticed. A quiet rebuke may satisfy your pride, but it teaches no lesson to the crowd. What matters is not only that you punish, but that others witness the consequence. Invisibility protects the offender, but visibility educates the observers. When you respond to disrespect, your response should create a memory, not just for the one who crossed you, but for everyone who watched. It is not necessary to be cruel. It is necessary to be unmistakable. You must do just enough to turn their moment of arrogance into a lasting reminder of their miscalculation. If your punishment is cold, timely, and precise, it becomes a warning. People do not touch fire they have seen burn others. Controlling perception also means avoiding overreaction. If your response is disproportionate, you lose the image of control and appear insecure. Power is not loud. It is silent, deliberate, and total. You must show that you are unmoved by petty attacks, but also that you never forget them. This combination, emotional stillness and strategic retaliation, is what breeds fear. Not fear of your anger, but fear of your calculation. Those who appear too eager to respond to every offense reveal their desperation to maintain status. But those who choose their battles wisely and win them decisively build an image of unshakable command. When you carry yourself with quiet certainty, others begin to censor themselves around you, not because you threaten them openly, but because they remember. They remember what happened to the last person who tried to challenge you. That memory controls their behavior. Your reputation must be a fortress, and every act of disrespect is a siege. If you allow even a single stone to be pulled from your walls without answer, the structure begins to weaken. Control of perception is not just defense, it is offense. By shaping how others see you, you control what they attempt. You make them think twice before they raise their voice, question your authority, or whisper behind your back. Because they understand that you are always watching, always remembering, and always willing to act. Once the image of consequence is established, you no longer have to punish often. The threat becomes more powerful than the act itself. The mere thought of crossing you becomes a deterrent. This is the true mastery of perception. When people discipline themselves, not because you demanded it, but because they fear what you might do if you chose to. Fear that does not come from rage, but from your reputation for quiet, calculated, and final responses. Silence is not the absence of action. It is a calculated act in itself. When you choose not to speak, not to react, not to explain, you are not surrendering the moment, you are controlling it. In a world that worships noise, opinions, and immediate responses, silence becomes unsettling. It breaks the rhythm of expectation. People are accustomed to reaction. They provoke to extract emotion, to feel powerful, to expose weakness. But when no emotion is shown, when the insult meets no resistance, it lingers in the air unanswered. And in that silence, power is born. Those who speak constantly, defend every point, argue every attack, reveal their insecurity. They need to be heard because they fear being misunderstood. They react quickly because they fear losing control. But the one who remains silent shows no such fear. He communicates without words. You are not worthy of a response. Your insult does not move. Yet your opinion does not disturb my position. This kind of silence is not passive, it is dominant. It forces others to sit with their own words and wonder what they've triggered. Silence creates space, and in that space, doubt multiplies. When you respond to disrespect with silence, you turn the focus back on the offender. They begin to overthink. Was it too far? Did they just cross a line they shouldn't have? Are you planning something in return? Their imagination becomes your ally. The unknown is far more terrifying than the known. Words clarify intent. Silence masks it. and the masked figure is always more dangerous than the one who exposes himself. Doing nothing in the moment is not doing nothing at all. It is allowing your restraint to speak louder than your emotions ever could. When someone disrespects you and you respond with silence, it is not because you are incapable, it is because you are calculating. You are watching how others react, who laughs, who supports, who looks uncomfortable. You are gathering information while your opponent believes they've scored a point. But they haven't. They've simply shown you their position, and they've underestimated yours. When you remain silent, others begin to fill in the gaps. They write stories in their mind about what you're thinking, what you're planning. This is where silence becomes a weapon sharper than any reply. Because it is not you who builds the fear, it is their own mind. And a mind that begins to fear you will never again disrespect you so carelessly. It will hesitate, it will retreat, all because you did not respond in the way they expected. There is also a discipline in doing nothing. To sit still while your pride burns and your ego screams for a reaction is an act of control that few can manage. It is the difference between a ruler and a subject. The subject reacts. The ruler calculates. The one who commands silence in himself commands attention from others. His absence of speech becomes more important than the words of others. And yet silence does not mean inaction forever. It is a delay, a deferment, a tactic. While you appear inactive, you are not idle. You are watching, waiting, storing energy and knowledge. You understand that words cannot be taken back, but silence, once broken, can reshape the entire game. When you finally do act, when you finally speak or retaliate, the weight of your silence makes that action 1,000 times more powerful. Because you have made people wait. You have made them unsure. And when you do something after doing nothing, the impact is multiplied. In politics, in power, in personal relationships, silence builds mystery, and mystery breeds influence. People want to know what you're thinking. They want to understand your position. But if you give them nothing, they cannot prepare, they cannot predict you, and the unpredictable man is always more dangerous than the loud one. An offense, whether it comes as an insult, betrayal, or public slight, is not a setback. It is a signal. It reveals hidden intentions, uncovers invisible enemies, and presents a rare moment to seize control. The average man sees disrespect as a wound. The superior mind sees it as an opening. Offense is never random. It is a deliberate act, a challenge, a test. And if you handle it not with emotion but with strategy, you can turn it into a step upward, a shift in your favor, a consolidation of power that was previously beyond your reach. Those who offend you often act under the illusion that they are bold. But boldness without calculation is weakness. When someone dares to cross you, they expect a predictable reaction: anger, defense, retaliation. If you respond with precisely what they anticipated, you confirm their view of you. They feel powerful for having provoked you. But if you do the opposite, if you absorb the offense, pause and begin to maneuver, you unsettle them. You deny them satisfaction and begin reshaping the terrain beneath their feet. Every offense carries information. It tells you who no longer fears you, who seeks to gain by demeaning you, and who might be ready to challenge your position. Rather than wasting energy on the sting of the insult, you collect that data. You study the offender's timing, setting, tone, and allies. You trace the source, ask why now, and ask what they stand to gain. In doing so, you uncover the structure behind the attack. This structure becomes your blueprint. It tells you where to strike back, but more importantly, where to dominate. Domination does not mean loud retaliation. It means taking what they thought was a victory and using it to elevate yourself. If someone mocks you in public, don't defend yourself. Instead, observe who enjoyed it. Let them speak freely. Let them believe they've won. Let them reveal their loyalties. Then, behind the scenes, dismantle their influence, remove them from your circles, make them irrelevant. Block the paths to their advancement. Spread quiet truths about their incompetence. Destroy not their words, but their foundation. And do it without raising your voice once. When others see that an offense against you results not in drama, but in cold correction, they begin to calculate differently. They realize that you are not a man who loses his position over emotion. You use emotion as bait, as camouflage. They realize that your silence is not weakness. It is the sharpening of a blade. And once they see this, they hesitate to ever cross you again. The offense, instead of reducing your power, becomes a demonstration of it. Sometimes the best way to turn an offense into dominance is to respond with generosity. Not because you forgive, but because your mercy reveals their pettiness. If someone attacks you and you help them afterward, when everyone expects revenge, you position yourself above them. Not in kindness, but in control. You show that they are too small to damage you, and that your power is stable enough to rise even when pushed. This humiliates them more than any attack could. At other times, you can use their offense to redirect attention. If someone tries to embarrass you, use their attempt as a stage. Say nothing of their insult. Instead, pivot the moment to your advantage. Shift the topic, steer the room, change the emotional tone. Those watching will see not only that you were unaffected, but that you remained in control. You made their attack meaningless. That kind of dominance is not shown in defense but in direction. You did not fall back, you pulled everyone forward on your terms.